What I like to say about Governor Nixon is that he gets it. He's made jobs a priority ever since he was elected in November of 2008. We've got a great working relationship with the governor. He's been very supportive of a lot of our initiatives, and we're very happy to have him spend time with us today, take time out of his busy schedule as governor of the state of Missouri. Governor Jay Nixon.
Good morning. Well, it seems like they've been talking about nuclear power or something. It seems like they're a little tired. And just going at it. It is certainly a pleasure for Captain Director of Economic Development, David Kerr, and I to be with you all this morning and to once again have a chance to talk for a few moments with this high-level group of business leaders and job creators from all across the Show Me State. I'll spend a few minutes giving you an overview of our kind of key economic development priorities, and then I've asked Director Kerr to provide a more detailed briefing and take your questions about the strategic plan as we move into the final phase here. I think it's accurate here today to say the folks gathered in this morning are some of the strongest champions of business and job growth in our state. Quite frankly, your organization and thousands of members are oftentimes the strongest voice for Missouri businesses. You stand on the front lines of economic growth and development, also on the front lines of risk. I always look out at groups like this, and I see many people who have had to go to a bank and slide the paper across and get the pen back and go into a relationship in which they put their dollars on the line, and it is tremendously appreciated you all doing just that. You also represent our largest cities, our smallest towns, industries from energy to healthcare to food to agriculture. We have a very diverse economy in Missouri. You live and breathe economic development each and every day, and quite frankly, you know what works in your business and your communities and what doesn't work. You talk to business leaders in your community and to the folks who are looking for work in your region. You know how to turn big ideas into results. You provide jobs, opportunity, and a great quality of life for the men and women across our state. Your continued leadership and activism is vital to the health of our economy in the short run and the future prosperity of our state in the long run. You are truly Missouri's partners in progress. Nowhere has that partnership been clearer or more important than over the past year in our strategic initiative for economic growth. There's an old saying that if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. You and I both know that when it comes to economic growth, that approach simply doesn't work. You have to have a plan. If we're going to move our economy forward, we need a clear vision and a roadmap. That's why Director Kerr and I convened top executives, small business owners, local economic leaders, and others to develop a 5-year strategic plan for economic growth. And we began this process, as most of you know, last May. Over the past 9 months, Director Kerr and I have heard from hundreds of leaders in every corner of our state about what we need to do to create jobs and transform our economy for the future here in Missouri. Each business owner or senior executive here today knows how important a business plan is to your operations. The plan tells you what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, and the bottom line, what you're going to earn by doing it. We need that same type of plan to guide our economic development policy at the state level. Many top leaders from the Missouri Chamber and your affiliate organizations, including Chamber President CEO Dan Meehan, served on the state's Strategic Initiative Statewide Steering Committee, or one of our local planning teams. Your insights and ideas have been the driving force behind this comprehensive effort. In December, I received a report of the strategic objectives and targeted industries that will guide this plan and our administration's economic development efforts in the coming years. The plan's steering committee will hold its final meeting early next month. It would have been done, I think, if we had this little snow thing that came through the state. And I just want to tell you that I've come to believe over my years of living here, and especially as chief executive of our state, that Missourians are best when they're challenged. We're at our strongest when we're in difficult times. And I just want to tell you that I think that effort by hundreds and hundreds of professional Missourians and volunteers was a stellar effort. I can't cover that enough. Let me go back to the strategic plan. I see out here folks that were helpful. It's in this job, you understand and appreciate that you can't do this alone. You got to have people in local communities. You got to have folks that are out there that aren't on the payroll, but their hearts and their spirits are helping you when things are difficult in order to make things succeed. Now, after seeing the initial report in December, Director Kerr and I knew we need to get started immediately based on the data we received from you, business leaders in every corner of our state. We put forward a proposal to provide smarter business incentives to drive job growth and align workforce training programs to sharpen our competitive edge. We call it Compete Missouri. The concept behind Compete Missouri, this initiative, is really straightforward. We consolidate our 6 current business incentives, which can be disjointed and confusing, into one and provide upfront funding that is so critical for some of the most competitive projects. To qualify for these incentives, companies will have to provide good-paying jobs and give their employees access to health care. For the first time, we'll give an extra bump to established Missouri companies and offer added incentives to small business owners. Compete Missouri will also streamline our worker training programs and align them with those business incentives. Far too often, the various areas sometimes don't get as closely aligned. We want to have, in essence, a one-stop shop for creating jobs in the state of Missouri. Worker training assistance will be available to businesses as small as Arden Outdoors, which employs 15 people in Macon, and as large as Boeing, which employs thousands. On top of that, my budget for the coming year provides an additional $5 million for job training. That will give employers even more resources to create and sharpen the skills of our workforce. We believe hugely in making sure we have the best and strongest workforce in the country. And right now, the challenge of this economy are not enough jobs for people who want them, but long range, the real challenge is going to be having a trained workforce for the jobs of tomorrow. We're going to keep making sure that we're putting the resources in place to our community colleges, to our four-year schools, to our technical schools, to make sure that we have the best trained workers in the country. That is good for business, it's good for our workers, and great for our economy. I'm extremely pleased to be working with Senator Eric Schmidt on this critical legislation. Senator Schmidt has introduced the Compete Missouri package in the Senate, and the legislation has been referred to the Senate Jobs and Economic Development Committee. During your time here at the Capitol, I hope you'll take the chance to visit with your legislators about this critical plan and encourage them to keep this legislation moving forward towards my desk. Let me be real clear. Compete Missouri isn't just my economic development plan. It isn't just the Department of Economic Development's plan. This is Missouri's business plan, built from the ground up by business leaders in every corner of our state who participated in the strategic initiative for economic growth. The proposal was a direct outgrowth of the insights and recommendations of the local economic development groups and leaders from business and education in every corner of our state. By working together, we developed this plan, and by working together, we'll get it passed. Together, we will make Missouri a better place for business, create jobs, and growth for years to come. The last piece, and it's, once again, it's a little bit of a thank you, but something that I think gets missed sometimes out there, is that, and I spoke to a group of legislators last night. There's a couple of things in this state that we have, I think, done a really steady job of doing every effort we can to remove, partisan discourse from. And those two things are being fiscally disciplined and working to create jobs. Now, we may have differences of how it's done, but I think that maintaining focus on fiscal discipline and creating jobs and keeping folks talking about those things and keeping folks working together on those is vital. I say that on the fiscal discipline side. Some may recall about 10 days ago, it's an interesting day for me. We had seen a tick up in the prices of diesel. We'd had challenges with being able to fund all the transportation at the local K-12 districts, and with that tick up in funding, we knew we needed to get a little additional dollars to those schools. Otherwise, they might be under a situation where we'd have to shorten some of the bus routes that have been established right in the middle of the school year. So we decided on that after looking at what dollars we had available, we released $10 million to local schools so they could maintain those bus routes at the same time, even though there was an uptick in diesel prices. On that same 24-hour time period, the state of Kansas withheld their payments during the school year for their K-12 education and didn't have the resources to make payments into their teacher retirement fund. And the state of Illinois, I feel difficult sometimes talking about the challenges they have because it's relatively easy. But they were passing bills to raise taxes, to borrow money so that they could pay their bills from last year, that they're behind on. I just want to say that fiscal discipline part leaves us then, when we do it right, it means we have the flexibility so that when there is the right economic development project, we have the resources. And when we put those resources there, our checks don't bounce. When Director Kerr signs an offer letter, that's real money. And I just want to say to everybody, they go hand in glove. And whether you go back to last year where we were able to get pension reform through the legislature that's helped solidify the pension system, or countless other ways. I just want to thank you all. The business community in this state has known that I've been in a situation as a chief executive where we haven't been, too flush with cash, shall we say. And I just really want to thank each and every one of you, because I've dealt with you and talked to you in your local communities. You've been incredibly supportive of that plan of fiscal discipline, and it really is helpful. I mean, and it's difficult because everybody wants to come to Jeff City to get just a little more cash, and I understand that. Very few people hire lobbyists to come to Jeff City to ask legislators or the governor to cut their budget. I find not that much activity in that area. But because we have fiscal discipline, and now as we embrace this plan for the future for economic development, I feel that Missouri is a place that's on the right track. So I'll conclude by saying once again, help us enforce this thing in Missouri, that when it comes to fiscal discipline, we work together. Once again, not always agreeing. It's not about the sycophants out there. We have disagreements, respectful disagreements, but we don't forget that ultimately we're gonna do the right thing. The income's gonna match the outgo. And the second part is consistently and constantly thinking about how we can create jobs, how we can make a better business environment, make stronger workers, and create jobs in the state of Missouri. Those are two things that we focus a tremendous amount of time on in my administration, and your help reinforcing those agenda items with these members of the legislature is greatly appreciated. Don't underestimate how much effect your organization and you as individuals have in doing that.